Right. Good morning. Morning. Morning, everyone.
Morning,
Good
Doctor.
morning, Doctor.
Good morning.
Okay. Right. Today we're going to carry on with politeness. Politeness is a social act. Um, Different cultures have different habits. They have different social habits, different individual ethics, and of course, different ways of life. They have different ways of life. Now, politeness is a social behavior. It's a behavior that is social. So it's not just individual, because we live in communities, in social groups. So politeness is a social behavior, etiquette within a culture or across cultures, within a culture or across cultures. As I said, knowing grammar and vocabulary is only part of mastering a language. So it's not enough to learn by heart thousands of words or any number of structures, grammar. It's how to use grammar and vocabulary properly in order to sound natural, in order to sound natural, in order to sound polite. Yeah. Of course, different languages have different ways of expressing the same idea. But there are politeness universals. So what is polite in one culture may sound polite in another, but sometimes there are differences, dissimilarities, even at the level of body language. Now, in our culture, for instance, body languages, in our culture, how does this sound? I mean, where would you use this? Where would you use it? In what context?
To take someone attention.
Give someone's attention, draw someone's attention, or would you use this with kids, children,
Yeah, to make them quiet.
to make them quiet? Okay. Now, in the British culture, avoid using this with human beings. This sign is used only with pets. They're used with pets. You see what I mean?
Yes, doctor.
So don't try to use this, say, with children or people, because they will be offended. They think that you are degrading them, because I mean this sign is degrading. Yeah. So we have to study not only the linguistic system of a language and how to use it, but we have to study also body language. Body language. Body language plays a vital role in communication. So hopefully we'll tackle certain aspects of body language and how not to sound offending. Because if you misuse if you misuse body language, if you misuse language in a certain context, you are bound to be misunderstood. Or sometimes you may sound, let's say, impolite. It means that you haven't come to grips with the cultural background of the language. Now, let's just have a few examples. Now, most Arab learners, for instance, as they go to a restaurant or whatever, they would say, "I want a hamburger," for instance, or "I want tea," "I want coffee." Now, grammatically, there is nothing wrong with this, is there? I mean,
No, doctor, Mafi.
grammatically, it's okay. But this is not the way the English-speaking people use it. This is not the way they use it. What do you expect them to say? I mean, this is a very important chapter, by the way.
Um,
We're going to learn how to use language politely, properly, uh, taking into account the culture of that language, the cultural background. So I mean, for us in colloquial Arabic, we tend to say, I want something. Grammatically, it's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. But in English, they don't say, I want a cup of tea, or I want a cup of coffee. I want a hamburger. Yeah. What do they say instead?
I would, or I would.
I'd like, yes. They would say, I'd like a hamburger. That's what they say. I mean, if you say, I want a hamburger, you will be recognized as a foreigner. You will be recognized as a foreigner, not familiar with the culture, with the cultural background. Um, Send me the report. For instance, I'm just giving a few examples because we have to develop our pragmatic competence. I mean, in studying all these chapters, the main objective is to help you develop your pragmatic competence, the way language is used in the right context. Yeah. So, I want a hamburger doesn't sound polite. Instead, we should say, I'd like a hamburger. Send me the report.
Could you?
Yeah, we would say, could you?
Yes.
Could you send me the report? Or if it's less formal, we say, can you send me the report? Okay. So it's remember we in studying speech acts, we said that that there are two types of directives. We have directives that's asking someone to do something. Yeah. So in English, they avoid using direct directives. That's to say, they avoid using imperatives. Everybody, I mean, doesn't like to be ordered. Yeah? People often like to be asked to do something in a polite way, politely. So using direct directives is annoying sometimes, is irritating. So try to use indirect directives. That's to say, instead of using imperative, it's better to use interrogative. Of course, interrogative here is an indirect directive. Yeah, right. So suppose that somebody's around, like to stay with you, and you say, go away, leave. How does it go away? Imperative again. Go away, or
I would like to have time with my own.
Okay. I'd like or sorry, busy right now. That's how language is used. I mean, there's nothing wrong grammatically with go away or leave me alone, but this is not the right way to use language. Tell me when you are available, for instance. Tell me when you are available. Most people, by the way, if they don't immerse in the culture, they continue using such structures without realizing that they don't use the language naturally, properly, politely. Most people, unless they immerse in the culture and learn about the pragmatic use of language, they continue, using the same structures in the wrong context, of course. Yeah. Tell me when you are available. Yeah. Okay. Let me know. Let me know. It would sound more. Yeah, more polite. Yeah. Let me know when you are available. And so tell me. Avoid using imperatives. Yeah. How about saying, suppose that you are not happy with somebody's answer, or he didn't get it right. So sometimes you hear people say you are wrong. This is very common, by the way. And this is why. Sorry. No, I mean, suppose that he said something that is not right. That's wrong. You are wrong. So in answering
Maybe
a question, in answering a question, somebody doesn't get the right answer. So instead of saying you are wrong, what would you say?
Can we say I don't think so?
Okay, I don't think so would be fine. Or
oh,
you might be mistaken, or you might be wrong. Yeah, you might be mistaken. I think you might be mistaken. I think you may be wrong, but you are wrong. This is why people get upset sometimes uh, because of using imperatives in direct directives, uh, or sometimes they use I'm afraid. This is commonly used in English.
Doctor,
Um,
I had seen someone used that's a correct answer to another question.
sorry.
I had seen someone used that's a correct answer to another question.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. We could say that, yes. Or I'm afraid, I'm afraid, I'm afraid. This has nothing to do with fear. I'm afraid, I'm afraid I disagree. I'm afraid I disagree. So voicing your opinion. I'm afraid. What's the meaning of I'm afraid?
Say أخشى.
خايف أو
Yeah, we say
أخشى.
أخشى in Arabic, yeah. أخشى. I'm afraid. For instance, if somebody asks the way and you don't know how to guide him, or you would say, I'm afraid I can't help you there. I'm afraid I can't help you there. This is very common. That's a bad idea. That's another one. That's a bad idea. Yeah. Most Arabs, by the way, as they communicate, they tend to say say, I want a hamburger. You are wrong. Go away. They may even use a slang. Get off my back. Yeah, that's what most people tend to say. That's a bad idea. I don't like this color. Your work isn't good. I mean, things of the sort. I mean, they don't sound polite. Even in of course, we have etiquettes in Arabic. We have etiquettes in Arabic. So, for instance, we have. How would you render? I asked him to do it, and I requested him to do it. How would you render this in Arabic? How to make a difference between ask and request? Where would you use each? Yeah, okay. Okay, we have order. I order. What's the? How would you catch the difference between I ordered him to do it, I asked him to do it, and I requested him to do it? How would you render each one of these?
دكتور من الفعل اللي بنستخدمه.
Can you use
Now, which how do they reflect? How does each structure reflect the pragmatic use of language? What does each reveal? What does each structure reveal? I want to say I ordered him. Yeah. No, first let's discuss it in English, then try to give the Arabic rendering. Now, what is the difference between I ordered him, I asked him, and I requested him? These are three examples which reflect a certain context or situation.
Dictatorial order, maybe they will get a punishment if they didn't do it.
Okay, who would use I ordered him?
Maybe the manager or the teacher in the class or someone.
A person in the higher and in a higher position would order someone with a lower position to do something.
Yes,
that's
the
an
boss.
order.
Like,
Yeah,
yes.
the boss. Okay, the employer, the boss. Okay, how about I asked him to do it?
When we ask someone, he may do or don't do this.
He may or may not do it.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. How about I requested him?
Can you say please?
So a person with a lower position would use I requested him. Okay. Now let's translate these into Arabic. I mean, see how Arabic works, functions pragmatically. As I mean, you're all native speakers of Arabic, yeah? Okay. Yeah. So how would you render this in Arabic? How do you translate each one of these to catch the difference? Yeah, because even in one's own language, you know, we may offend somebody, even as native speakers of a language. in certain situations, contexts, we may not be able to use language properly. This happens, I mean, often.
Doctor, also order sometimes comes as advice.
Okay. I mean, Farah, how would you translate I ordered him?
يعني أنا أأمره.
I ordered him to do something.
Yes, إنه يعني أأمره بفعل شيء. مثلا
I ordered him. Just translate. Yeah, I ordered him. No, it wouldn't be طلب منه. أمرته بفعل شيء. Yeah, أمرته. How about I asked him?
طلبت منه.
طلبت منه. And I requested him.
سألته.
I requested him to do something.
سألته إذا كان بإمكانه فعل شيء.
Again?
طلبت منه also?
No, I asked him would be طلبت منه. We should read a lot of novels, literary works, to develop our pragmatic competence in both languages. Try to read as many novels, plays, short stories as possible. They help develop your linguistic competence and especially pragmatic competence. Yeah. Now in Arabic, we say طلب منه. طلب منه would be he asked him to do something. And طلب إليه. طلب إليه would be he requested him. لذلك saying that حروف الجر تتناوب في اللغة العربية من doesn't stand argument. ما بيجوز الكلام هذا يعني كيف يعني حروف الجر تتناوب. They have a pragmatic function. حروف الجر in Arabic. I've heard many scholars, claim that Arabic prepositions may be used alternatively. Now that doesn't work. I mean, pragmatically, and even grammatically. Now, what is the difference between رغب فيه and رغب عنه? It's simply, using one preposition rather than another.
Yeah,
now, when we say رغب فيه, it means that he
wanted.
Yeah, he wanted it. He's interested in it. And رغب عنه,
dislike it or
بالعكس تماما.
yeah,
refuse.
it gives the exact opposite.
the exact
opposite. Same applies to طلب إليه, إلى في. طلب منه, for instance. طلب منه and طلب إليه. Yeah, طلب إليه, pragmatically speaking, means that somebody in a lower position asks someone in a higher position to do something. So I wouldn't say طلبت من الوزير to do something. I requested him. Right. Jealous. This is irritating. I just feel irritated when I hear some mistranslations, because of lack of pragmatic competence. وقد جلس الوفدان على طاولة المفاوضات. انتم متصورين وزير او امير او اي شخص بمنصب يعني جالس على الطاولة؟
No.
What do we say instead? Do we say جلس على المائدة in Arabic?
Yes, we say.
جلس على المائدة.
But that's mean.
I mean, this is not just pragmatically wrong. It's grammatically wrong, syntactically. Syntactically, we should say جلس إلى طاولة المفاوضات, negotiation table. جلس إلى طاولة المفاوضات. إنما جلس على طاولة المفاوضات يعني جلس على الطاولة يعني. That sounds odd. بعدين احنا بنجلس على المائدة ولا إلى المائدة؟
إلى.
جلس إلى المائدة.
Yes, yes.
So we have to be doubly careful when it comes to prepositions. Can you think of any more examples of
Yeah, there is
misuse of prepositions?
there is a hadith when Gabriel comes to Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam.
Right.
جلس إليه not عليه.
لاحظين جلس إليه جلس
Yes.
إليه. So we have to read, as I said, more literary works, novels, short stories, plays, biographies. This is the way to hadith, scriptures. I mean, they do help a lot. Of course, nowadays, most people are not exposed to such data, linguistic data. Yeah. Okay. So you are wrong then. That's about a bad idea. Would be, instead of saying you are wrong, we may say, I'm afraid I disagree. I think you might be mistaken. That's another way of saying you are wrong. That's a bad idea. This is very common. So how would you say instead? What would you say instead? That's a bad idea. So you put him off, or her off. She or he feels annoyed.
I think there is something better.
Yeah, or I'm not sure if I'm not sure that's a good idea, or I'm not so sure that's a good idea. I don't think so. It would be okay.
Or I'm afraid that's a bad idea.
I'm afraid that's not a good idea. That's not a good idea. But that's about a bad idea. Sounds offending. Okay, your work isn't good. Your work isn't good. هذا أسلوب عربي أحيانا مباشر. أسلوب عربي not because of Arabic, because of the misuse, because of the pragmatic misuse of Arabic. Unfortunately, we are not taught Arabic the way English is taught, or French. There are teaching methods we should develop teaching methods. We should have curricula, textbooks and curricula that pay attention to certain areas which are missing. So, for instance, Arabic major students are not taught idioms. That's not part of their vocabulary building. Idioms, proverbs. So if you ask someone to define an idiom, they don't have the faintest idea about what an idiom is. They are not taught idioms. They're not taught proverbs. They haven't heard of collocations. Collocations. I'm sure you have done collocations.
Yes, doctor.
Yeah, translation. Yeah, collocations. So there are dictionaries of collocations. Dictionaries. I have a very good dictionary, by the way. Next time I'll show it to you. So there are dictionaries of idioms, dictionaries of proverbs, dictionaries of collocations. They are not aware even of calcs, let alone pragmatics, how to use language properly. So all these should be part and parcel of the of textbooks, curricula. Yeah. I don't like the colors in this design, for instance. I don't like the colors in this design.
Would you show me other colors?
Okay.
Or colored it with others?
Right. That would be a polite way. Or I'm not too fond of the colors in this design. I'm not fond of the colors in this design, or I'd prefer to use different colors. I'd prefer to use different colors. I'm not fond of these colors. Okay. Let's leave now. Let's leave.